we talk about how much is being tracked. This story is going to focus more on the number of times that information that's gathered on you changes hands on a daily basis. You might be surprised. Peter's going to tell us about it. Today's Not So Critical update.
So this is a BBC article that we're showing on the screen at the moment, which to me is always a sign that something has gone mainstream. If it ends up at the BBC, it's kind of my acid test. Europeans' data shared 376 times daily in advertising sales, report says. So there was a big report done which talked about, so there's a thing online called RealTime Bidding. When you view an ad on a page, there's a complicated thing that happens in the background which dictates how much that ad costs to place. And it's all based on what kind of website is being viewed on, but also who you are. So if you're a high value customer, then it costs more to show that ad to you. And when advertisers want to put their ad out there, they create campaigns and they say, I want to target this kind of person. And then the thing is that market, you should know this term, what is it? Market segment, that type of person, that group, they cost a certain amount, and the advertisers have a thing called they bid to place their ad there, and there's a very there's a system called real-time bidding which happens in the background. It's all automated, and it's all to do with you set a budget for your campaign and who you're trying to reach, and then other people, how much you're willing to pay, and if someone outbids you, then whatever, they get the ad placement. So there's this thing called RTB. And a core part of it is who it's being displayed to, and that means that they have the real-time bidding system there's a lot of different advertising networks and platforms which are communicating in the back end, because there's thousands of sites, right? They have to exchange information about who it is that's viewing the page. There's like trillions of these kind of transactions happening, or every day. I think it's every day, or it's a lot. It's a lot, and that includes information about you as a person. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like what's happening is that your personal information with some kind of ID associated with you is being passed back and forth between all these different ad networks, and essentially there's no real safeguards on it and who's getting the information. The outcry is, well, not the outcry, but the response is always, but it's an anonymized ID, which we know is utter bullshit, because the ID could be quite easily de-anonymized. And because it's all automated in the back end, people don't really know what's going on. So someone wrote a report that kind of dug into it and said, looked at how often is information being shared. On average, 376 times for EU audience, by the way, but more like 970 times a day for the US audience, because you have. This is an effective GDPR. People don't care in your country about anything, apparently, except money and hamburgers. Sorry, America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've just insulted the whole of America. Yeehaw.
Way to drive the point home. So you made the comment about marketers being out screaming, but it's anonymized. And I tried to correct you. I think you mistook my correction. I retyped it. I spelled anonymized correctly, where you spelled it with a Z. I spelled it with an S. And I felt like you maybe were interpreting that as the correction. But what I was correcting was, we're not screaming, but it's anonymized. We're saying, but it's anonymized.
Wink. Okay. Right. It's like the most thinly veiled defense against this.
Right.
Whatever.
Everybody knows that's bullshit. As you said, de-anonymizing that data is, I'm not going to say it's trivial, but for the people that are doing this work, it's trivial.
No, it's trivial.
Yeah. I don't know. It's out there. What are you going to do? Not use it?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We put these rules in place, especially in Europe, and they're being broken billions of times a day by the world's major ad networks. Basically, I think we need to go back. We've had this argument before. I think we need to level the playing field in ad tech. We need to make it so that targeting is almost, the same amount of ad spend is happening, but it's just not, you can't target it as well. And you have to fall back to like contextual stuff. Okay, it's going to be harder to sell things maybe, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of sympathy, but maybe that's because I'm not trying to sell anything in particular.
Our dystopian future is here.
You're
not putting the horse back in the barn. Governments aren't going to regulate it because the businesses that are making billions of dollars off of it are funding them and won't allow it. I think it's just the way things are these days. It's the way things will be from here on out.
But so the fascinating thing is...
This is why they call me the fatalist.
This is technically illegal. So there's a possibility...
Because of GDPR.
Because of GDPR, that there's a possibility that they might find a way to do it. The thing is that advertising has to be able to target you. So somehow it needs to link this ID to you so that when you view a page, it shows the right thing. And that means that the way it works at the moment is shouldn't, that's illegal, essentially. I don't see a way of...
So how would you craft that? Like, we talk about personally identifying information. So your argument is that even if they assign me this unique ID, that unique ID now becomes personally identifying. And if they share it with somebody else, they have, by definition, shared my personally identifying information. The other side is to say, well, I shared this ID string. You, who I'm selling it to, don't know who that person is. Just because you have the capability to figure it out isn't my fault. What kind of law do you have that goes against that to countermand that?
Ads don't kill people. People kill people.
Right. I just handed you the gun. I don't control what you do with it.
I don't know, man. Google are desperately trying to come up with Flock and Google Topics and Privacy Sandbox and all this kind of thing, and they're trying to make it look as though it's private, and it's not.
So if it's not going away, it's not going away. If it's not going away,
please, can you go away? Please,
if it's not going away, what's
away?
plan B? Like, what's the next best option?
You're asking me to okay, which one of your pets do you want to kill? Like, if you had to kill one of them's
gonna die.
Which one would it be? Yeah. It's like, but which one? Would you want to go for the cat or the dog? Because one of them's gonna die.
Right. Or you just wait and see.
Well, look, in an ideal world, we would be able to share this information, but there would be a trustworthy mechanism in place that something that you genuinely trusted, where that information wouldn't be used in the wrong way. So I say it all the time with analytics companies for my block list. I know we just talked about this a lot, but there's ethical analytics companies out there like Plausible and Fathom.js and companies like this. And they build themselves as a privacy-focused alternative to Google Analytics, where they don't do anything bad with your data, and they try and anonymize it, and they try and de-link it to your identity and stuff like this. And to be fair, they do a good job, but I still don't trust them. We're starting off with so many bad actors that I still don't want them to track my information, because there's so much bad faith in the whole industry. But if we could get rid of that somehow, and show that they were acting in our best interests and not trying to manipulate us so badly, and we had control over the data. So if it was like a local data store that I could cut off access to myself, I don't know. This is a very hypothetical question.
It is.
I don't feel confident.
So let me cover the rules again. One, you cannot access anything on the internet without giving up some amount of personal information.
Yeah. That's okay.
Just by the nature of the way the internet works, you could mask everything you wanted, but you are telling somebody where you are on the internet to get a website sent back to you. You have to tell them that because you're asking for something. You have to tell them where to send it.
Right.
So the blanket. So beyond that, everybody should know this is informed consent. Everything you do on the internet, on your phone, if you walk into public with cameras anywhere, if you walk past somebody with a phone who's got a microphone, if you buy something online, if you file your taxes online, if you do banking online, anything you do online is being tracked. They're collecting your information, and they are going to use it for things that you can't control.
No, it's not good enough. Not good enough.
What do you mean it's not good enough? My warning's not good enough?
Yeah, your warning's not good enough. I don't think that it's ever going to be acceptable just because you told people.
I'm not saying it's acceptable.
What do you think is happening?
I'm just saying it's the way it is.
It's okay. Listen, this is just the way it is, guys.
Okay or not. Okay or not.
It's going in and out.
It's the reality of the situation.
I'm sorry that I'm stabbing you. Then, okay, this is informed consent that I am stabbing you right now. Okay,
telling you this is how it is.
You are bleeding. You're going to die, but I am telling you it's and therefore it's okay.
It's already happened. Close your eyes. Let it go.
I'd stab someone. That'd be a terrible murder.
Is this how you stab somebody?
That's how I stab me. That's how I don't know. I'm thinking about like a knife like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.